Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Kendra Larson. I'm the Art and Gallery Director and Clark Arts Talks Coordinator. Yeah, if you haven't seen the showdown with Art and Gallery, please do so. It closes on Friday, so this is your chance to go check it out. Today we are super lucky to have artist Tallmadge Doyle here to speak about her work. She is a painter, printmaker, teacher, and public artist whose work reflects on issues of environment related to climate change. Born in New York City and now based in Eugene, she received her BFA from the Cleveland Art Institute and an MFA from the University of Oregon. She has participated in over 150 national and international exhibits, and her work is included in over 30 public collections in the United States and abroad. She has participated in artist residencies at Ucross and Brush Creek Foundation's Playa Art Science Residency, Sitka Center for Art and Ecology, and the Kingsbrae International Artist Residency in New Brunswick, Canada. Being present in the land to take in the colors, smells, sounds, and light qualities is a vital part of the process. She layers this collected sensory information with both real and imaginary cartographic elements. That word is hard to say. This invented imagery is a mapping of sorts, an approach that allows for combining a current reality with references to geological periods in the distant past and into the projected future of rapid climate change. So there we go. Everybody, let's welcome Tallmadge Doyle.
Yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. You can hear me good. Well, if you ever can't hear me, let me know, okay? And I brought a portfolio of work to show you afterwards, so I'm not going to talk for an hour showing you slides, but I do have a lot of slides. I probably have too many. So anyway, yeah, we'll start. So thank you, Kendra, for inviting me. We've known each other's work for a long time, but not really known each other very much. Anyway, that was very nice for her to invite me. And, so obviously this is not my work. Yes, it's labeled. Okay, good. So I wanted to design this talk around the idea of giving you a sense of progression during the last maybe 15 or so years of my work, and there's a lot of things that you won't see. I just kind of focused on several series, and I want to talk about printmaking, the world of printmaking, and I also want to talk about artist residencies, because artist residencies, I didn't really even know they existed when I was a student, barely anyway, by the end of graduate school. And I think it's really a good thing for students to know about, or any artist to know about. So I'll be talking about those too. And they've also had a big impact on my work too, and so I will talk about that as we go. And I just want to say I'm really grateful for the community of artist printmakers. It's just, I've met so many people through printmaking and been able to participate in so many activities and shows. And there are organizations. There's one big one in Portland, the Portland, now I'm going to say it on PAN, Portland.
Is it Print Arts Northwest?
Print, thank you. Print Arts Northwest, yeah. And there's also Seattle Print Arts. I'm a member of all these organizations. You don't live in Seattle. For Portland, the PAN includes, I think, 6 different states, and western states and Hawaii. And there's also national and international organizations that are made up of printmakers. They have conventions every year. I've been to the Southern Graphics Council International Conference a number of times, and they meet in one city. I think this year it's Puerto Rico. And they meet in one city, and it's like this huge convention of artists. You know, you get in the elevator of this hotel, and there's 10 printmakers in there, and you get to talk, and there's presentations and exhibitions and demonstrations. And another thing that I always really loved about printmaking is that printmakers share information. You know, they share their recipes. It's not like this coveted thing where, you know, you don't want to let another artist know how you did this. You know, because every artist uses all the techniques in very different ways. Anyway, so let's see. I think I better start showing the slides. And I have these notes because if I go off on a tangent, I can kind of bring myself back. Okay, so there we go. So this is not my work either. This is a page of a scientific notebook. I believe this is Kepler, Johann Kepler. I don't know if anyone here is into astronomy, but he was a 16th century astronomer who made great progress, and he was a very interesting man. Anyway, I started reading about him and his work, and he has some really beautiful scientific drawings, along with another man, Giordano Bruno, and he was an Italian and actually was came up with all kinds of theories about astronomy and metaphysics, and he said that there are parallel universes, and that was a really new thing when he said it, and that they are, that all religions can coexist peacefully together. So he was, you know, jailed during the Spanish Inquisition and later on killed and had his tongue cut out and all those wonderful things, tortures that they did. Anyway, this this is a series of prints that I did after these two, inspired by these two scientists. And I have to say that colors here look a little fluorescent, and I don't know why, but there are bright colors, but not quite this bright. So these are etchings, and I have brought a few of these series in this series with me. So these are etchings. I've used multiple copper plates, and you can see there's like this sort of writing, right? Sort of writing. I was looking at a lot of sketchbooks, and a lot of the pieces that you see here, the shapes that you see are a technique called chine-collé. So I print things on Asian paper, and then I cut them out, and then I basically glue and print them to the base sheet at the same time. I know that's, without demonstrating that, it sounds kind of complicated, but we can talk about that later because I have some of these prints with me. So yeah, all these prints are about 18 by 24, and there's probably 4 or 5 copper plates printed with these. And so, you know, obviously these are very painterly prints. There's probably 9 or 10 pieces of chine-collé, basically collage, and printed paper on these base sheets of cotton rag paper. So, you know, if anyone has any questions along the way, feel free to shout it out if you don't understand anything I'm saying or have a question. I think this one might be upside down, but that's okay. Sometimes they go both ways.
How many plates do you use with these?
Well, there's probably about 5, 6 plates involved altogether. Yeah, and I use very transparent inks so that the inks overlay each other and create other colors. You know, so example, oh, and this one, for example, I use woodcut sometime for the background, so I have a piece of mahogany wood that I just roll up with really transparent yellow ink, and I print that as the base tone, and then I print the etching plates on top of that. And so there's a lot of, I kind of work on maybe 20, 25 of these at one time, and then, you know, as they dry, I create new ones and then go back to them, and that's got a good way of working for me because then they seem fresh and alive, you know, rather than, I could never work on one or two pieces at a time because I just can't see it anymore. I have to put it away for a while and start something new. And this print is called Kepler's Cosmic Geometry. So Kepler, the astronomer that I mentioned earlier, he discovered that the planets rotate in an elliptical form, not a circle. So he drew these old rudimentary diagrams of that. So when I saw those diagrams from one of his sketchbooks, I started drawing, and so these diagrams are sort of a takeoff on what he did. And again, there's a lot of, from his initial sketch, and there's a lot of added pieces with Chicolet, or you can, you know, I couldn't call it collage just because, you know, everyone knows what collage is, and Chicolet is, you know, a fancy French word. And here's another version of that. Oh, wait a second. Okay, yeah. So, and I do, like, this is a monoprint, a one-of-a-kind print. So this print, this is the only one in this series that I did an edition of. I do think I did an edition of 10. Oh, this also has hand coloring. I hand color with watercolor or India inks to add some color, but most of the color you see is printed. And I did this print as I was creating all these monoprints. I thought, I really like this. I want to make a small edition. And it took me forever. After I did that, I'm like, I'm never doing that again. Trying to recreate something that I did, and I'm glad I did it. But it was just a lot of trial and error. And this is sort of an offshoot of that. This is called Soul and Sky. Again, I was looking at a lot of old maps, celestial maps. And this is 2 etching plates and some hand coloring. So these sort of fuzzy circles, that's a technique called spit biting into the copper with aqua tint. And any of this stuff I can explain in detail later if anybody wants to know. And yeah, this is the next series. I did a series entitled Celestial Mapping. And again, like this, just trying to give you somewhat of an idea of like basic idea of how these are constructed. So this piece here is a piece of Asian paper. I usually use Kitakata Asian paper, and I print it from a different plate, and then I cut it out and I collaged it onto the surface of this print. And the same with that round kind of star formation up there. And sometimes I'll take a plate and more try to get the most use out of the plates that I create, because it's a lot of time to create a copper plate, etch it, and everything. And so sometimes I'll print, and then I'll just experiment and turn the plate upside down and print it again, and then just sort of improvise and go from there. So a lot of my work is improvisation, and the longer I work, the more improvisation I'm doing. So again, this is a celestial mapping series. Oh, and here's Playa. Has anyone ever heard of Playa? Great, yeah, beautiful place up near Summer Lake, Oregon. And this was one of my first residencies that I did. Have you been to Playa, Kendrick? Did you do a residency?
No.
Oh, I thought you had for some reason. Okay.
No, maybe someday.
Yeah. Anyway, it was just such a different environment than I was used to being in. You know, it's dry and it's either cold or hot, you know, and so beautiful and so far away from almost everything. It's like 40 miles to the nearest supermarket, so that's pretty far. And when I was there, I've been there twice. The first time I was there was almost no internet, so that was a good experience. It was a very good experience, and that was a view from staying in these beautiful little cabins on the campus, and this was the view of the lake that disappears in the summer. It just becomes this big crackled dirt pattern in the summer, and there it is, up on the hill and down. If you look down, you can see the campus, and that's the lake that forms. It's like 5 miles long and about 2 feet deep in the winter. And it's actually at the edge of the Great Basin. You know, before the West was developed and we had so much agriculture, there was a lot more water, a lot more big lakes, the Great Basin. But it's easy to forget all that because we've never seen it. It was gone. And here's another picture of Playa. Just a really beautiful place, and there's a big lodge where you can eat, and it's a dark sky area, so you can see the sky like you've never seen, like I had never seen it before, because it was so dark. I mean, I have been to dark places before, but I think this is the first time that I really appreciated it, and me being interested in astronomy and star formations, outer space. It was really a wonderful place to be. And I did not take this photograph. I don't even remember where it's from. But I also think that not all that color in the sky is real. You know, when you see the pictures from the James Webb telescope and they're very colored, that's actually, they call it fake color. Does anybody know? Fake color or something like that, because they add the color so that you can see the formations. So when you look, I mean, the color's beautiful, but when you look, you realize, okay, that's not real color. Like, that's not all happening. And then when I was at Playa, it was springtime, and again, the colors, these are really bright. I mean, my colors are bright, but this is a little more fluorescent. I didn't realize this. But anyway, I started doing prints. There's 2 etching presses at Playa, 2 areas where one can do printmaking. There's a big room and a small room, and you bring your own equipment, but the press is there. And so these are, again, really multi-layered copper plates, and I started adding India ink to my prints to hand color them, but in a more aggressive way, like more paint, like they started becoming painting and print sort of together. And this is another one of those. Seems like a long time ago I did these. But anyway, I was interested in migrations, bird migrations, and I started looking up patterns of bird migrations, so I started adding some mapping elements into these, and again, they're multiple plate copper etchings. Oh yeah, this is one of my favorites, because it felt like I was thinking about the lake in the background, and the butterflies were starting to come out, and it had been really cold there, and then it started warming up, and it was just, I just experienced spring in a way that I never really had before. It was really beautiful. And another butterfly, I started reading about butterfly migrations, and so this is, pretty simple print, 2 copper etching plates with aqua print. It's on that beautiful, there's a beautiful light blue rag paper, Hesha and Cesione. This light blue paper, and I just love that paper. I worked on it a lot. Here's another one, sort of the sister to that. So these are on like full sheets, a printmaking paper, like 22 by 30.
Those are good examples of your flip. You flipped it and printed it into
Yes,
different colors.
exactly. You know, like if I spent all this time creating a plate, I think to myself, well, how can I use this? How many different ways can I use this to create different compositions? And that's one of the things I really love about printmaking is that you might work with the same image for a while, but you can do many, many different variations of that image if you want to. And you can go back to the plate, you can change it, you can add. And that's where I worked while I was at Playa, the big old barn. That's where the etching presses are. And it's so quiet there. There's just no noise. I mean, you know, there's a little road that goes behind this barn, and every once in a while you'll hear a car or a truck, but at night there's nothing. There's nothing. It's in Lake County, which is, I don't know if I could get this number right, but it's like 80,000 acres, 800,000 acres. My number's wrong, but it's this huge expanse of land, and the population is very small. So a lot of people. Oh yeah, so here's let me give you an idea of like all those pieces I printed from etching plates, and then I cut them out in different shapes and then apply them to the prints. So another way of like working with a set of plates, but creating different compositions by printing and then applying the pieces to create different compositions. That was my studio. That was the first time it was at Playa, yeah. So lots of yellow, lots of spring colors. So you can see I like to work on batches of prints. It's just the most productive and fun way for me to work. The longer I do printmaking, the more I realize it has to be fun in order for me to continue to do this. So, because it's a lot of work, printmaking, like any art form. It's a lot of work, but it's very gratifying. And then I went to this place called Kingsbrae International Residency for Artists. And has anyone ever heard of the Bay of Fundy up in New Brunswick? It is where the largest tides in the world occur. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place, way up north New Brunswick. And it is, St. Andrews is this little town. I think the population in the summer is like 5,000. I think it goes down to 700 in the winter when it gets really cold. And there's an artist residency there that is a woman started. And this is the house that she and her family used to live in the summer. And she inherited all this land, and now she's decided, she's always been a big art supporter. She decided to start an artist residency. And by the way, if you're thinking that, because you're students, and usually you have to wait until you get out of school to apply for residencies. A lot of residencies don't accept students, but don't think that because you don't have a lot of experience in the arts or that you have not done an artist residency before, don't think that they're never going to choose you, because they often look for people at all levels in their careers. So if you apply to a couple and you don't get accepted, that happens to me all the time. So if you're really interested in artist residencies, just keep on going. Just keep on going. And it's a numbers game, because artist residencies are really popular. So you just got to keep on at it. And it's next to this beautiful 25-acre garden called the Kingsbrae International Gardens. And it was just a magical place to live in for a month. These places I usually go for a month. And so beautiful. They have animals roaming around. I walked around a corner at one point when I first got there, and I was just kind of exploring. Oh, that's the studio. They have these little studio huts for all the artists. Each artist gets their own hut, or whatever you want to call it, little house. Okay, there's some of the animals. because I'm a complete animal lover. They have, it's sort of like the gardens are a tourist attraction, and they have these animals, and they have peacocks, and I have never lived around peacocks before. I could not believe the noises that they make. It was just amazing. And this is the Bay of Fundy, and the tide is way out. It was just a beautiful sort of stormy area. You know, it was always, the weather was always churning, and there was, you know, it would be sunny, and then the storm would come in. It was just all this sort of dramatic energy always changing, and that was really interesting. Oh, there was my favorite animal. I had to put this picture in. I just loved him. Alpaca, that's cute. Oh, there's the peacock that scared the hell out of me. I walked around the corner, and there it was, and he made that. Anyone know the noise a peacock makes? It's just huge. It's like this giant jungle sound. Anyway, it was like a white peacock, like an albino peacock. Never saw one of those before. Okay, so I started doing, while I was there, a series called High Tides Rising, and I actually brought some of these prints I can show you with me. So these are went back to woodcut and carved a number of blocks, and then started printing them over each other. So one with a light color, one with a darker color, and I was trying to find different ways that I could use transparent color to create a third color, but only by printing 2 blocks. So like I mentioned before, I use transparent color to create the third and the fourth color. Whoops. And this has some hand coloring in it too. And then this one, I started using a lot of mapping elements. I was actually looking at a map of the Bay of Fundy. And High Tides Rising, I started thinking about, you know, this beautiful little town is at sea level. Everything is at sea level. These gardens, all the houses, everything. So when the sea level does rise, the town is, I don't know how it's going to survive. But anyway, so I started, that kind of motivated me to do a series about that. And I started adding more mapping elements to the prints. So you can see the light color under the dark color here, creating another color. I know that the printmaking class has been doing woodcuts and lino cuts. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah, we just finished lino cut. Now we're doing woodcuts right now.
Oh, yeah.
We mainly been doing single color.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to start. I mean, you know, I did a lot of single color woodcuts before I started, you know, messing around with all these techniques. Oh, actually, there's etching plates in this series too that I would print first. So just line etchings, and then just sort of create an atmosphere and a background. And then I would start printing on the woodcuts, and then after they were done, I would add some color with usually watercolor, sometimes India ink. And same thing with this one here. So you probably wouldn't notice, but I'll tell you that, see, you know that the one with the sea turtle? So you see the sea turtle right there? He's kind of behind the octopus going in there. So that was a plate that I used for another print, but I just printed it in a very light color and then printed the key plate on top. That makes sense. And I have a thing for octopuses. Oh, this is my cohort at the residency. So there was someone from Britain, a Russian, a Canadian, and an American on the end there. But it's a wonderful thing about artist residencies. You just meet artists from all over the world, and you know, a lot of them, we stay in touch. Okay, here's another one of that series. There's a lot of hand coloring and drawing in the back of this one. So I really like to mix mix the mediums up, and you'll see, okay, this is an etching, as you'll see later on in my work, I kind of extremely mix it up. This is a small print. I actually have this with me. It's an etching, like 9 by 11. So I was doing, these are aquatints, 2-plate aquatint, and then the lines there, the lines that you see, those light green lines in the background, that's a different plate. And then printing the lines over the dark to, sort of creates a different dimension. But I'll show this one to you in a little while. Oh, I did throw in my octopus here. So this is a small print. This is like 7 by 7. But I went to the Marine Hatfield Science Center in Newport. This is many years ago. And they had this big tank in the entrance. And this is, I think, while they were building the new facility, the aquarium. And I walked in there and there was no one in there. It was just empty on Tuesday afternoon or something. And there was this giant tank with the giant Pacific octopus. They usually have one there that they housed for a couple of years before they let it go. And the octopus keeper or whatever, she came out and she said, "Oh, one petted it." So she, he was big too, very big. And they just really want interaction. They're bored as hell in this tank, So he came out and she said, "Don't touch the big suction cups because they'll break your blood vessels, but you can touch all the little ones." It was really an amazing experience to, walking around the tank and this octopus was just staring at me, following me around. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Oh, okay, so this is actually the copper plate that print was printed from. And this copper plate, I painted it. I actually rubbed it with the brown ink, and then I painted sort of the green blue in the background. It became part of a public art project that I did at the Ford Alumni Center in Eugene at the University of Oregon. I did a public art project. It was a big hearth wall, like 30 feet long, and they wanted, the committee wanted to, I don't think I have a picture of it in here, because I had too many pictures I had to get rid of. The committee wanted the flora and fauna of the Northwest of Oregon, so this was one of the flora and fauna. Oh, Brush Creek. This residency no longer exists. It's in Wyoming, and was really cold and really beautiful, and I got to snowshoe around, and there's, I think, 8 different artists there at one time. It was located on this really fancy, like, elitist resort. And there was this little sign. Oh, that's a piece that I did. I'll show you the little sign that says "Artist Camp," and the artists were just sort of over here, and we weren't allowed to go into the main lodge where they served, $900 meals and stuff. We weren't allowed there, but it was wonderful anyway. We had our own kitchen, and they brought us food. That's the wonderful thing about artist residencies. Sometimes they actually cook for you, not all the time. But those are the ones that I really love. So this is a piece I did really directly related to Wyoming. When I was there was just there was snow and just little spurts of green here and there and vegetation. But I started thinking about how the landscape has changed over 200 million years, and I read. While I was there, I read John McPhee's book. Oh, what is the name of it now? Onto the Plains, I think. I don't know if anyone's ever read that, but he talked about how the landscape of the West has changed, the Western United States has changed so much over 200 million years. In Wyoming, there used to be a salt ocean. And there were things like octopus and all kinds of ocean creatures, squid. Oh, there's a squid in there, yeah. And so I started thinking about the layers of time, and that's what really inspired this piece. There it is, artist camp. Yeah, after the pandemic, they got rid of this, and I don't know why they did, but, oh, and then I went back to Wyoming again. The same year, I got to go to this Ucross, which is a wonderful, wonderful residency, and I was shocked, going into the grocery stores. I mean, I'm from New York City. You go to the grocery stores and you see all these animals, There's just the whole store is just, grocery store is just covered in taxidermy animals. I've never seen so many in my life. And there it is, the Ucross Foundation. And it's a really wonderful, well-funded residency. And it used to be a giant cattle ranch. Now they have some sheep. And I had a lot of fun there too. I met people from all over and had a great time. And we all had dinner together, and there was a chef there that cooked us dinner. It was pretty amazing. And I started doing this series, kind of continuing on from High Tides Rising, underwater gardens. So started creating these images. There's mapping elements again. I've always loved maps. I just started imagining what these gardens would be like when they were taken over by the water. And that's a detail. Yeah. So there's actually woodcut that was the first layer, and then actually painted on this. And then, this is when I started to do, and I brought some of this to show you. Do you know what Yupo is? Yupo is like this plastic paper, and you can cut different shapes out of it, roll it up with ink, and then slap it on the paper and roll it through the press, and you have this beautiful shape printed immediately. So I've been really playing around with that the last few years and having a lot of fun with it. And I brought some of those pieces so you could actually see. It's like, okay, I got it. You have to, for me, I know I have to see a demonstration or see pictures of a demonstration to understand what it actually is about. Okay, I think I better hurry because you all have to leave at 2, right? Okay. So another one of those, another one of these. This is my cohort at Ucross. Amazing people from all over. Okay, this is an etching. I think I'm going to zip through these. These are smaller etchings from my underwater garden series. Okay, one more artist residency. This is about Sitka Center for Art and Ecology. And there's an UNESCO marine research area here, biosphere site. That is the view from the top of the head. It's about a mile down the hill of Sitka. Beautiful old Sitka trees, and the elk come and graze in the meadow right across from Sitka. It's really quite a spectacular place to be. I'm going fast.
And that's near Lincoln City, right? That's near Lincoln City in Oregon.
It's like 6 or 7 miles north of Lincoln City. It's in the middle. There's no town there. This is the Salmon River estuary. It runs into the ocean right here. So it's like a 10-minute walk from the Sitka Center, the Salmon River. There's another view, of the head there. And this is what I started to do. Oh, time is going really fast. This is what I started to do while I was at a residency there in 2021 during the pandemic. It was like a lifesaver to be able to be there. These are 22 by 30 on that beautiful blue paper that I was talking about earlier. So these are not prints at all. These are drawings. I don't think there's any printmaking in here. Drawing and painting. And so is this one. I started looking at microscopic. I'm going to have to zip through all these microscopic organisms and I don't have time to really tell you much about these. This is an etching, 6 by 6, really tiny, small etching. So this is like really blown up, and it's all line etching. I put on a jeweler's visor and just did these insanely little lines.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So a lot of these students have done, like you said, wood cuts and lino cuts. And if and when they fall in love with printmaking and want to keep doing printmaking, what is etching, and what about etching is unique from woodblock?
Oh, okay. So etching, I do etching with copper plates, and it is, it's called an intaglio process, and it's that Italian word for printing the grooves, so printing the recessed areas. So you're either drawing a line in the copper with a sharp tool, or etching it with acid so that you have all these indented little areas, and then you wipe the ink on the plate, and the ink gets stuck in all those tiny little lines. So every tiny little dark spot you see there is a little tiny line. And so that's an intaglio process. So it's sort of the reverse of woodcut, where you're rolling ink over the surface of woodcut and you're printing the surface. Okay? Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, because I forget only one in that series. Oh, this is Vashon Island. These are all the tribes that lived in the Salish Sea. And some of them still do. And these are some etchings that kind of fell out of the sketchbook when I got there. I didn't know what I was going to do. There's a house looking over Quartermaster Bay, and I didn't take this photograph, my friend did. And sometimes you get to see the orcas there. It's a beautiful island. I don't know if some of you are probably familiar with it. Right across the sound from Seattle. And there was never a bridge built because the residents always they didn't want a bridge because they knew Vashon would completely change if there was a bridge. It would be like another Bainbridge Island. It's really highly populated, mansions everywhere. There are the orcas, that's in South Seattle. Again. And I started doing all these little sketches, 6x6, with maps and using, all these microscopic plankton. I learned about the environment in terms of how it supports ocean life and the plankton and the whole cycle. And I just have to zip through these because I don't have time. I can't believe how much I talked already. And these are cut paper paintings on Asian paper. Again, too bright. They're not really this bright. I mounted a lot of these on small wood panels in groups. Those are my friends that I met there. They were absolutely wonderful. You don't have to see them. Another close-up of one of the images. Again, these are small microscopic organisms. Just got fascinated with those. And these are all about jellyfish. We'd go out in a kayak and see like thousands of jellyfish in the water. I've never seen that before. It was really, really amazing. And I had nautical maps that I would paint on that were printed on, digitally printed on printmaking paper, really nice thick rag paper. And then I started doing outer space, star formations, and working with relationships with microscopic light forms and star formations, and sort of got off on a tangent with looking at a lot of web photographs, having a lot of fun with this. So these are all paintings, really. There's really no printmaking in this particular series. Okay, and this is the Uco. This is what I'm going to show you. This is a couple of years ago, started doing work about seaweed forests, and that's the Uco that I use, and I'll show you how to use this. And this is started out as a print and turned into a painting that I then mounted on a panel, about 22 by 30, another one. So these are all going to be in a show at the River Sea Gallery. actually it's opening up this weekend in Astoria. So I'm just going to go through these really quickly. That is actually a drawing, and I started printing on it, with first I pigment pencils and India ink, and then I wasn't working at all. I just said, screw this, I'm just going to start printing on it, and that's what I did. And this is an in-process piece that those whiter pieces are Yuko, and I was just sort of arranging them on the paper, and this is what I got. Same thing here. This starts out as a print with pieces of Yuko, and then I start working it into the paint. And so this is like 24 by 32 painting on panel, but it started out as a print, so it's more a painting than it is print, you know. And this one started getting wild with the color. Ocean Forest is the name of the show. This is another one. So all this work will be in Astoria. Not this one, but this is called Jellies in Outer Space. This is another one of my favorites. And that's it.